Good morning, Rabbi Yosef. Thank you for the amazing share every day. Very interesting and fun. Even the emails and sponsors. The life story of how you became a Maggid Shir. See attached video of the Chassidish Talmidim. Wow. Hold on.
Good morning. My voice like money,
Here's another one. I have an 8 and 11-year-old doing your daf daily. Soon my 2-year-old will join and see the video.
Good morning,
Daila knows Givaldik. Very, very important. Rabbi Yosef, this is unbelievable. In Muncie, back by popular demand. They're watching the shir with a bunch of food from The Flame, sponsored by Molandi. That's how it is. When the oilam gets together at different occasions, Milava Malkas, Thursday nights, that's Mechazik Doilam. So do it in your city as well. I just had back surgery on Wednesday. I'm fair amount of pain. On Wednesday night, I was debating whether to do the daf. It was hard to concentrate, but went ahead. Boy, am I glad I did. When you gave examples of the chazan and I'm from cousin doing Shabbos brachas, I was on the floor, especially when you started singing the wrong Ashiyot. I think I tore open some stitches from laughing. Please don't ever lose your sense of humor. Da, 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 da. Okay. The boy side, very interesting. Eli Stefansky sent this to me. One of the most famous Gemaras in Shas, and that is Barbi Rav de Chadyoima. There was a Talmud that used to travel 3 months in each direction in order to learn Torah for one day. When we were learning it then, I explained that perhaps the pshat is that as you're going, you get the schar of learning Torah every minute of going. It's all part of it. So this individual made a cheshbon, and that was on Chagig Dafei, made a cheshbon that if he left after Yantif, he arrived today. Tazvav Tammuz is today. It's 3 months. It took him from Pesach till now to get there. He's going to learn there one daf, the sugi of Pesach Pesuach, and then go home. Last year I taught Masechta Shabbos the Shir Aleph Mesifta. I watched the Shirim very carefully, mainly for the stories, jokes, and to help spice up the classes. Since I want to bring Gula to the world, my class knew that many of the jokes, picture stories about hoarders and apartments in Chicago came from you. Aside from the actual material you gave, the general gang of learning Torah in a fun way benefited myself and the class very much. This year I'm teaching Perek Shor Shenogach Sapara, and to my deep sorrow, consternation, and panic, I can't find your shiurim online for Baba Kama anywhere. Was Baba Kama part of the last cycle of Daf Yomi, or was there a power outage then? Is there any way you can get me Baba Kama? With love, Mendy Karp. Oh my goodness. No, when did we start? We started like in Menachas. He wanted to know about Zvachim also. We started in Menachas. I know, but the live shiurim, the recorded shiurim, Shalom Rebelli, Sergi Flaster. I can't tell you how amazing it's been since it started daf, from Shoshana Daf Beis. Every day you come up with even better ways to understand the daf. I only missed 2 daf in Yavamas. But Kitzer, I want to understand, is the word bezoin, is it good or bad? I was one of the few that got a call about the location of the 5-town secret cheer. Yes, crashed the party. Result for Torah. So I just want to explain. He's asking me why I said yesterday bezoin. I thought that in my mind, I thought it was understood, but then I thought afterwards, it didn't make any sense. For me, it was a bezayin because I said that the shir in the 5 towns is private and not open to the public. A very good friend of mine wanted to know where it is. I said, I'm sorry, it's there. And I show up, and there's 35 people. That guy that I told him, I'm sorry, I can't tell you, he showed up in the middle of shir, and I saw his face. He's very disappointed in me. That was the bezayin. So that person in my office got motivated and does the daf with us. He too hopes sometime in the near future to crash a secret chair that he'll be at anonymously. Sergi Flaster. P.S. I was the guy that told you to do the Good Morning Rabbi Yosef at Brooklyn, etc. Tzvi, Chantel. Oh, we have to go. I'm from Stanford Hill. Although I never liked learning, we have to do one of these a day. He never liked learning. He left yeshiva at the age of 17 and now at the age of 56. So almost 40 years he didn't open up a sefer. 40 years. So if you're less than 40 years, didn't open up a sefer, don't even bother sending email. From now we're doing 40, 50, 60. That's it. Shmak, thanks very much, Rebelli, for making this year so exciting, funny, uplifting. Shmak to follow. You really make it worth getting up at 5 a.m. English time. At times, Yivamis was so difficult, I was thinking giving up. I still really managed to complete it. Thanks to you, although I'm a big Zionist, I'm thinking about becoming a Satmar Chassid for a few months next time Yevamos comes around in 7 years, so that I can be potter from learning Daf Yomi for the duration of that Masechta. And then finally, Avraham Yosipov says there's a big siyum in, I never even heard of this place, Starrett City in Brooklyn. Yeah, everybody knows it. I lived in Brooklyn, I have no idea. Okay, fine, let's go, Rabbi Yosef. The Koil sponsor the Nishmas Chaim ben Moshe. The Masechta sponsor the Nishmas Moshe Loza ben Nota Shalom and the Nishmas Yisrael Baruch ben Moshe Aaron, and for that hatzlacha b'chol inyan for my children. By Jeff Rosner, the second sponsor of the Masechta. In zchus my son Yosef Simcha Chaim ben Chana Refuah Shlaima. We have a few guests here. You are Gershon Rose, the famous Gershon Rose from Manchester. And then we have a guest. After. Okay, I hope there's cash in here. What's your name, Tzaddik? Nathan Whitson from Baltimore? So get over here a second. But Paras Chayyim Shadman, by Lock and Lebovic families like New Jersey, because Torah is segula. As it's close for our children to be kadosh, safe, healthy, happy, and Hashem loves them. By Michael Benchetrit, commemoration of the week, 10th years of Rabbi Yosef Oziel, man, community passed away on the 13th of Tammuz, the young age of 42. Shalom Aleichem. What's going on in Baltimore?
Good things.
Listen, I got to tell you, the nafkamina between Baltimore and a lot of cities is, Fischl does a tremendous job. He's a great caterer, great food, put together, great siyum and everything. We need young blood, guys like you. They're going to take the whole matzah over there. I spoke to so many people. Nobody's on WhatsApp over there. Nobody knows about anything. Nobody knows that we're doing things. Nobody gets together on Thursday nights like. Are you going to take this in your hands and go? We need. I don't know. Yeah, I don't want to put you on the spot. You know what's zchus? Next time I come to Baltimore, promise me there's not going to be 200 people. There's going to be 500 people. It's doable. Yishkoyach. Get some young blood over there. Huh? Paris Chaim doesn't do that. That's not. Paris Chaim is good at Gemaras. Different guys. Aaron, whatever. Dov Harris. I don't want to start saying names. All the guys. The guys in Toronto is unbelievable. They're a team together. It's not just one person. They get the whole island together over there. ShaulE Wassertheil in honor of his wife's first yahrzeit, 9th of Tammuz. Lili Nishmas, Eka Edno Tzipora, Bas, Reb, Moshe Menachem Alevi. By Yehuda Nelson, happy birthday to Yona Ben Yisroel Isar. The year should be with health and bracha. Amen. Rabbi, here we go. Doctor's father's having surgery right now. Name, Moshe Ephraim Ben Rivka Refuah Shlaima. There's more guests. Oh, Shalom Aleichem. What's your name, Tzaddik? Huh? Isaac, what? Saba? Isaac Saba from? Montreal. Givaldi, Shalom Aleichem. Let me see. You, I know. You're Gershon's thing. Every day. Here's a new guy, but I don't want to embarrass him. Who? Now I see him. Shalom Aleichem, Tzaddik. All right, all the way from Montreal. Givaldik. We're holding my Omer Abaya. You know what? We'll go we spoke about Al Yiftach Adam Pivla Satan, the idea that you shouldn't just say, oh, I'm going to die, this, bad words shouldn't come out of your mouth, because the Satan takes it seriously. He could use those words and use it against the person. Omar Rav Yosef, micro, where do we see this in a pasuk? You guys have it? It's like where it gets very wide, not very, very wide, but wide, like 8-9 lines down, right? Omar Rav Yosef, micro. They said that we are like Sdaim and we are like Amora. And what does it answer him? Shimu Dvar Hashem Kitzini Sdaim. We actually call them the generals of Sdaim. You became a Sdaimnik by saying we're like Sdaim. Okay, so we're in the middle of a sugya over here. Just to chazer over a little bit. Gemara says, when do you need a minyan by Avelos? Where do you have a minyan? Was it when they eat the food in the street? No, that can't be. There's no brachas there every day. Where exactly? The shura, when you go through, that's a one-time deal, not 7 times. Where is it possible that you have to have a minyan by Avelos every day, let's say? So Gemara goes through this whole lengthy thing that someone's young child was nifter. Rish Lakish brought in a Meturgiman, and the giving drushes here. And somehow we're supposed to figure out how that has to do with our sugya. So, Shlakish tells the Meturgiman, now say something special for for those who come to be Menachem Avel. Pasuk v'amar, the Meturgaman says, Achenu goyim lechasadim b'nei goyim lechasadim. Our brothers, who you do so much chesed, you are the children of goyim lechasadim, hamachzikoi bevrisoy shel Avraham Avinu. So here's the pasuk. It says in Bereshis, Ki dativ l'man asher yitzav es bonav es beisei achar v'shomru derech Hashem la'asos tzedakah mishpat. Hashem is saying that your children of Avraham Avinu are going to continue doing your way of tzedakah and mishpat. Why? L'man avi Hashem is al Avraham eis asher di ba'olav. All the promises that Hashem promised Avraham, because Klal Yisrael keeps that way. That's our derech. Look at all the chesed, all the gemachim, all the organization, all that hatzlacha, all the everything. Goyim li chesed. Achenu bal hagmul yishalom lechem gemulchem. So the one in charge of or the one who pays back, the goymel, he'll pay back what you deserve. Baruch atah mishalim hagmul. Yeah? Even in terms of nichum avelim, huge chesed. Everything that goes on in our generation with all the chaver kedisha things and the misaskim, the stuff that goes on, nobody should know about these things, but the people that come in the middle of the night, 2, 3 in the morning, and bathe people that can't move and they're on their last breaths, and take care of them and bring them and take care of the levaya and the chairs and the Aron Kodesh and the Sefer Torah. The huge chesed that goes on in Klal Yisrael. Kodesh Baruch Hu. Huh? AJ. Yeah, what happened with AJ? Remind me. He was there, right? AJ. Were you talking about the chesed that he did in Toronto? No, but there's somebody that we were just somewhere, and he said, I was just out. He was up the whole night? Oh, that was him. AJ Roth. Shore, AJ Shore. Not Izzy, but AJ, and not Roth Shore. AJ Shore gave us his house. He built a brand new house. He gave us his house. He had 152, actually over 200 people walk through his house, ruin those floors, and his garden, and his yard. And he paid for the food because he's a caterer and he did the food. And he just came back. He was up in the middle of the night doing a chesed shel emes. Okay, these are the goyim li chesed of Klal Yisrael. Pasuk v'amar, Rebbeinu Elohim, Ha'olamim, B'dei v'atzel, malei toisha amcha Yisrael. Save Klal Yisrael with all the lashonis of saving, minat dever from the plague, minat cher from the war, minat bizu, minat shidafon, minat yerakon, all the things that plague the fields, all sorts of crazy things from the coronas, from the viruses, from the diseases. You'll answer us even before we reach out to you. Baruch atah oiter amageva. Omar ulo. Why is there wine in the world? Oh, Rashi brings this. It's a good thing I made a chart. I would have forgotten the Rashi. Rashi brings this pasuk. Vayita eishel bever shavar. Avraham Avinu planted an eishel. What does the eishel have to do with anything? Why does the Torah have to tell us that he planted a tree? He planted an apple tree in Beersheba. Who cares? Because eishel, says Rashi, stands for achilo, shtia, levaya. These are the things that Avraham Avinu excelled in, feeding and giving people to drink and a place to sleep. That's Klal Yisrael. We are his children and we learn from him. Oh, I'll tell you, stop. On Friday night in Deal, New Jersey, I got up, I gave a drush about Achon Sarchim, because I was inspired from the Achon Sarchim of Murad Nakash, who, after running this whole event with 2,000 people and spending a lot of his own money on the band and all the stuff, tens of thousands of dollars that he spent from his own money, he decided it would be a good idea, and I was arguing with him, to invite 10 people to sleep in his own house, and 160 people to come for the Friday night meal, and then, a crazy amount of people for lunch. Not 160, it was more like 50, 60 people. Achnos Zarchim, bringing and doing, and just the idea of Achnos Zarchim, the crazy chesed that Klal Yisrael does. Unbelievable. Like Avraham Avinu. Beseder, Zog the Gemara. So there's this Asar Kaisis. Why do we drink wine? It says in the pasuk in Mishlei, "Nu shecher lo ived v'yayin lemari nefesh." Wine is there. We're against this thing. Like give somebody that's in a depression, give him a little drink, make him an alcoholic. The Torah says somebody that has a loss and is depressed, Give him wine. That's what wine is for. Let him take the edge off, the tsar. So, believe it or not, you're supposed to give him 10 cups of wine. 10 cups. It seems like a lot of wine. Before he eats, he should drink 3 cups of wine. To open up his stomach. 3 in the meal. Should be good for the food. And why 4 after the meal? 4 Birkas Hamazon, the 4 brachas in Birkas Hamazon. Echad keneged Hazon, v'echad keneged Birkas Haaretz, v'echad keneged Bnei Yerushalayim, v'echad keneged HaTov HaMeitiv. The 4 brachas in Birkas Hamazon. Says the Gemara that wasn't enough. He wasn't drunk enough. They said, let's give him another 4 cups. Echad keneged Chazon Eir. The people, the tzaddikim, they go around in the city and do all the chasadim, like I described, the Chaver Kedisha, etc. V'echad keneged Panos Eir. The wealthy people in the city that pay for the burial, they give money. To commemorate the Beis Hamikdash. And to commemorate Gamliel. Gamliel saved the day. As we'll see in a second. Problem is 14 cups is already, even if you say it's only revius, it's a lot of wine. 14 revios. I mean, I don't know about you, but when I drink 4 cups of wine on Leila Seder, I'm kind of toast. Huh? You're a lightweight. I am a lightweight. But I don't drink the 4% that you drink, Yosef. I drink the Castel stuff. I learned by this. Huh? Anyway, so they said, according to Rashi, let's go back to 10 cups. 10 cups is enough, not 14. Myron Gamliel, the Sanya Berishayna, no, seriously, say there, I learned the trick. You just go with the largest shear of revius of the Chazanish. You get a cup that big, because my becher is like this big. It's like a whole liter. And if you have to drink roiv that, it's a problem. It's much better to drink a roiv of the shear of, 3-4 ounces, whatever it is, garnished. And you don't have to be making on the craziest wine. You do the 4%, the 7%, whatever it is. Not the Kedem stuff. Okay, now I'm going to get from Kedem. Remember I said something about, let's not go there. What happened was I brought the blue bottle, the Bartanura, and the owner of the Bartanura called up immediately after the shir. He says, I watched the shir. Why are you talking like that about my bottle? And he sent in other bottles the next day. Okay, kids are fine. Because I said not to use it during the Seder because it's white. But he took it the wrong. Fine. Huh? He said the blue bottle that has red wine in. Very good. Myron Gamliel, the Sanya. What happened? We can learn from this also. It was harder, you believe this, it was harder for people to bury the mason than the actual death of the mace. Why? The Bazayin, that's how people are. How am I going to do this fancy funeral? Like, I don't know if you guys know, in Brooklyn, where I grew up, the Italians used to have this hearse that was a pickup truck hearse. It was a Cadillac that they cut the whole back out, and they filled it with flowers, thousands of dollars of flowers. If you have crazy minhagim, that other people, the Joneses do it, you also have to do it. So that they buried Pliny in golden clothes. Now I have to bury the mace in gold. I don't have that money. What am I going to do? It's like the weddings, like the takanas, like all that stuff. They would leave the dead and run away. They couldn't afford to bury. Caver in Har Menuchas, $50,000. Who has the money? So Gamliel said, I'm a leader. I'm going to show them how it's done. He decided to act with himself b'bezayin. Pishton, canvas, says Rashi, garnish. It cost peanuts. Once from Gamliel, if from Gamliel the Rebbe could do it, we could also. Pishton, they used the cheapest of the cheap. Maybe, and that's what Rashi says. It's a canvas. He was pishton, which is cotton. Fine, B'tzar de Bar Zuzah, all it costs is 1 zuz. Tachrichim, very cheap tachrichim, but it's important for leaders, Rosh Hashivas, people that lead the community, to act in a certain way, so nobody imitates them for the wrong things. They imitate them even for that. Do a cheaper chasana, cheaper this, drive around in a Corolla, etc. Zok the Gemara. Omar Rebbe Elazar. Omer Pesach Pasuach Matzasi, Neman La'asra Olav. If a chassan says, I found an open entrance, opening. Basically, he's saying she's not a psula. I didn't find psulim. Neman la'asra alav. a person, so now this is the yisoid of Shavia al Nafshi Chaticha D'Yisura. A person has the ability to say that something is asur on himself. He's not making it asur on her yet. The Gemara is going to talk about this. Shmuel argues on Amud Beis. But right now, he's not saying, I don't owe you a ksuba. He's saying, you were mezana, you're not a psula, and therefore, I believe that I am asur to you, so he's asur to her. Now, he's not saying that he didn't find dam, like we learned on the first Mishnah Kesubos. That's a tainas dam, I didn't find dam. He's not saying that. Why is he not saying that? So Rashi says one of two things. Either we're talking about mishpachas darketi. So family doesn't have dam. So he's coming with another taina. There's a second thing. He says, there's no Pesach. There's no dam because there's not supposed to be dam. They don't have. Or Rashi says that this sheet that they used to use to catch the dam, to see that he's not playing games, the chassan, that got lost. Reminded of a famous story, I gotta say it anyways, to take off the edge a little bit. A guy was on a date, and he's in a restaurant, and all of a sudden he sees, he can't believe it, his pants are really dirty, he's really embarrassed. So he tells the girl he's out with, he says, listen, I saw there's this thing here, there's a store, I need to get something. So he runs to the store, and he buys a pair of pants. Now, as he's about to pay for the pair of pants, he sees the girl looking for him. So he's like, oy vey, she's going to see me. So he buys a sweater also. He puts it on a pile, he gives the lady, and she walks in, she says, what's going on? A sweater, whatever. Fine. So he pays for it, and he goes into the bathroom real quickly, and he takes off his pants, and he throws them out the window. He doesn't know what to do with it. There's a window, he throws it out the window. He goes into the bag to grab his pants, and all there is a sweater in there. So, okay, shtickle problem. Over here also, sometimes you lose your pants, you lose the mappa, there's different things that you lose. Fine. What? How does a guy loses the mappa? All right. Anyway, not a joke. By us in yeshiva, Maisa Shahaya. In the middle of the yeshiva is giving a shir on the sugya. Ma'ash in the middle of the shir, a guy said, and I'm saying this because of the Chazanish. The Chazanish says you can learn these sugyas. Bachram can learn the sugyas. It can't be mazik. Learning Torah is not mazik. Or Chaim Kanevsky mimics it, and then the whole thing is. But there's another tzad to it that a lot of yeshiva guys they learn it in the abstract. They don't know exactly. A guy screamed out a middle shir, and I'm talking about one of the most innocent bachram yeshiva. So the yeshiva, is there chiyuv mezuz on the Pesach? Zok the Gemara. V'amai ma'aseh shaya. V'amai. Ask the Gemara, how could a person be oyser, even if a person says that this piece of meat over here is treif, I know for a fact it's treif, so it's treif for him. But how can we trust this chassan, a guy who just got married? Specs feiku. At the end of the day, there's a double suffix. And when there's a double suffix, you can't be machmer. Suffix tachtov, suffix ain't tachtov. First of all, when exactly, what is he timing? He's saying that she's mizana. Again, because in those days, let's go back. In those days, there was erusin. They got engaged. There was erusin. She becomes like an eishesish in that engagement. He gave her a ring, she's eishesish. Now they took a break of a year, whatever. He's claiming that during that year, she was mizana. Maybe this nus happened before they got engaged. So that's one suffix. There's no date. He doesn't know exactly when it happened. And even if it happened when they were engaged in erusin, suffix ba'oines, suffix baratzah. How could the chassan claim that he knows for a fact that she did it willingly? Because if she did it ba'oines, she was violated, then she's not asur to him. The whole isur is only when it's baratzah. Says the Gemara, leitzricha be'eshes koyin. Oh, so now we just got rid of one of the. If there's a double suffix, it's a sveka, so there's no isur for him. He says, I didn't find a Pesach, but there's a double suffix. But now we're going to remove one of the sveikas. We're talking about that he's a Kayan. She's the wife of a Kayan. The wife of a Kayan becomes usher to him, unfortunately, even ba'ainas, even if she was violated. So now there's only one suffix. What's the one suffix? When did it happen? Before they were engaged or after they engaged? Okay, so that's one suffix. And that one suffix, he shavi al nafshei chatich d'isura, he made it also for himself. V'bayis ema beishis Yisrael. No, or you could say that's talking about a Yisrael. Okay, go in the Kabbalah ba'avu kiddushin pchusam about shalishon miyemechad. What happened was the father accepted kiddushin on her behalf or for her when she was younger than 3. So in Mela, it cannot be that it happened before they were engaged, because even if it happened before they were engaged, it's going to grow back. And in Mela, the only suffix is whether it was ba'inus or biratzah. Now, Rashi points out that the chuppah happened after she became a gdoila, because otherwise, when a ktana, even if she does it biratzah, if an 11-year-old does it willingly, willfully, the tziruf of those two is willingly. If she did it willingly, then she is still considered an anusa because of the type of das she has, which is not a lot. She's a ktana, and therefore is considered an anusa. Now, Tais just points out it's interesting, I don't know if we'll remember it from here, but Tais points out a yisoid in Svek Sveika, is that he just asked a simple question. Why don't we have a Svek Sveika? Maybe it happened when she was a Ktana, and maybe it happened willingly. So Tais says those are considered one, because Ktana is willingly, so Memela willingly and Ktana is of the same category, so we can't make 2 Sveikas out of one idea. It's shame oines chadu, says Taisvus. Fine. Michael Mashmalan. So what's the big chiddush in this? That a person could say about himself that he's usher on this woman. Tanina, we learned a man could say on himself that he's usher to a woman, to the woman's mother, to the woman's sister. He says, I was mekadosh you. Not true. I deny it completely. He mutaris b'kroiv. According to her, she's not related to him, so therefore she can marry his brother, etc., etc. She can marry the whole world. But he is also to her mother and her sister. Why? He says, you don't remember. I gave you kesef kiddushin, you were drunk, you don't remember, whatever it is. But Lamais it happened. So he, according to his shita, according to him, her kroivim are also. So why do I have to say over this chiddush that Shavei al nafshe chadika d'isura? We already learned it. Mal the same awesome devadei kimlei, avalacha making mudulei kimlei. Komash malon. Over here we have a technical problem. This guy was never married before, so maybe he has no idea what he's talking about. Maybe he doesn't know what pesach pesuach means. Maybe he doesn't know. But over there he's saying, I know for a fact I was mekadosh you. There's no doubt. No doubt. Maybe only over there it's Shavei al nafshe chadika d'isura. Over here, where he's not a mumcha, maybe he can't do Shavei nafshei chadika d'isur. Kamash malon, he could. We trust him. Says the Gemara. So the last final words in Amud Beis is Omer Rabbi Elazar. This whole sugya is Homer Beis B'Suel. That's Rabbi Elazar. Omer Rabbi Elazar achi. V'Omer Rabbi Elazar ein ha'isha neseres al balo elo al iskei kinui ustira. Yisoid. We don't know what is going on, but there's one yisoid there. I like that Gershon. I like that the guys from Zoom are on. I feel like they're part of the share now. Givaldik, do that once in a while. So, the only time, says Rabbi Elazar, that I could say that my wife is asur on me is if there's kinui and stira. What does kinui and stira mean? Kinui means a person tells his wife, specifically, do not be nistar, don't be misyached with so-and-so. And she went ahead, she didn't listen, and there's Aiden that said that she went ahead and she didn't listen. She went into a room with the guy that she said she shouldn't. That's kinun steer. Then, only then, in that case, is she usher, and not in our case, where he decided that maybe she was mizana before their wedding, where there's no Aiden, there's nothing, it's just his idea. Says the Gemara, oh. Now, Pay attention. It says, Ukim Maisa Shahaya, like exactly the story that happened with David and Bathsheba. What happened? So, David told HaKadosh Baruch Hu he wants to be the fourth leg of the Merkava. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, no, you can't be really, because the Avos, they had tremendous nisyonos, which they withstood. Said David, try me. I want the nisyon also. I want to be part of the Merkava. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, fine, I'll try you and I'll tell you in what. I'll give you a lead over here. What is it called? What? No, not heads up, head start. Yeah, head start. I'll tell you what, not like the office, I didn't say. I'm going to tell you, it's going to be in Arayas. That night, he saw Bathsheba. Bathsheba's husband Uri was at war. He saw Bathsheba, he called for her, and they had relations. Now, the Gemara obviously says all over, whoever says David sinned, you're not allowed to say it, but it's one of the most complicated stories in Nach to understand. I'll go upon him. The Gemara now understands V'tizbera. The Gemara understood that this kinu in stira, what's going on here? V'tizbera, Maisa Shaya, Bikinu v'stira hava. You're telling me that Rabbi Elazar says the only time a woman comes to her husband is if it's like the story that happened with David and Bathsheba. Kinu and stira like that story. Well, time out. Maisa Shahaya Bikinu v'stira hava. What? Uriah was at war, so he couldn't tell Bathsheba, don't be Messiah with David. It doesn't even start. There's no Aiden, there's nothing. Well, see, the war Aiden, the whole world knew about what happened. Interesting, by the way, Stam Derech Agav, what, from all the halachas of Saita, what is neged to us today, Bizman Hazeh? Only one halacha, which happens to be the last final halacha in the Even Ezer, in the Saita, which is, you're not supposed to tell your wife not to be mistatu with somebody. You're not allowed to do that. Because if she is, I think that's one of the reasons. If she is, there's no way out of it. There's no Maimam Marim. The Shulchan Aruch says, the Lashon, explain to her nicely, talk to her nicely, whatever. You don't say, don't be mistater. Fine. Says the Gemara, Va'oid mi asarua. We know the end of the story. David HaMelech lived with Bathsheba until he died. So if David HaMelech if she was asur to Uriah, then she would be asur to David. We have, if she's asur to the Baal, she's asur to the Baal. It goes together. Since she was mutter to David, obviously she was mutter to Uriah, and vice versa. Holy Kasha. This is what Rabbi Yosef means. Eino isha neseres abaylo ela liski kinevistiro mi ma'isa shaya. Not kim ma'isa, not like the story of David, because in fact over there's no kinevistiro. But from the story of David and Bathsheba, we can learn a halacha. You have a kinevistiro. Over there's no kinoi. Uriah did not tell Bathsheba not to be misyach with David, and there was no edim. And that's why David was allowed to remain married to her. Okay, so Nachama, Rabbi Elazar says, from David HaMelech I learn a Yisaid. Why was David HaMelech allowed to remain married to Bathsheba? Because there's no kin and stira. But if there's kin and stira, then you become also to your wife. Mashma, in any other case, without kin and stira, a guy says the night after he got married, he says the day after he got married, he says, comes to Bezdin. I didn't find the Pesach, I found the Pesach Besuach. That's not enough to ask her. There's no Aiden, there's no kin, there's no stira, nothing. That's not enough. Says the Gemara, let me just ask you a question. It doesn't make any sense what you're saying. Kinu is stira in, Eidim loy. What does kinu stira mean? Kinu stira means that if there's no Eidim that saw a physical act, it's still enough to make a suffix. You have to bring this woman to the Beis HaMikdash. Why? Because there's kinu in stira. He warned her. There's Eidim that saw her going into the room. But there's no Eidim. You're going to tell me that's better than Eidim that saw physically? No way. Of course, if the Eidim saw, that's 10 times better than kinu and stira. It's even kinu and stira. So let's be medayik Rabbi Elazar. Elazar says the only way you become also on your wife is if there's kinu and stira. Oh, wait a minute. There's something else on the list. Eidim. Oh, if there's something else on the list, so maybe a chasen that says Pesach Pasuah Matzasi is also awesome. What do you bring me a raya from this deal? Says the Gemara. First of all, one aid is not enough. Ela b'shnei. Why? Check out this gzerish over here. It says in the pasuk, "Ki yikach ish isha u'ba'ala, ki motza ba Gershon, ki motza ba ervaz davar," and then it says, "Al pi shnei edim yakum davar." Somewhere else, by mominus it says you need to aid him, but it says the word davar in red, and by erva it says the word davar in red. So we know just like by mominus you need to aid him, so too by erva you need to aid him. Great. What does that mean, Rabbi Yosef? Little tricky, but how does kinyan steer work? The husband says, "Don't be misach of the planning." Then there's two eidim that saw her going into the room. So what's eid echad? No, anybody? What does eid echad mean? It says two eidim. Steer is two eidim. What's eid echad? No, anybody? Eid echad means that eid echad actually saw what happened. In all of Shas, one aid saw something between Eishasish and somebody else. That's not enough. We don't trust them. Davar. You need two aidim. But if there's already a kinui and a stira, there's two aidim that saw her go into the room. But then one aid went and peeked in the window and he saw mamish, so then that one aid is enough. Okay. So if the husband himself says, "I found a Pesach Pesuach," says Rashi, Sharei Dover Baruhu Shenivala, the last line in Rashi, he's 100% certain. So that's more than two Eidim. For him, it's like two Eidim. So Meila, she becomes Aser. If so, there's so many people, the whole Klal Yisrael saw her go into the house with David HaMelech. Why is she not also the David? Says the Gemara, Hasa minus Hava. Over there, he's a king. You don't say no to a king, so she was a Oinus. Others say the Chidah says that Bathsheba was a Ktana. So Ktana, like we said before, Oinus. There's a crazy story that I saw that they asked the Aruch. Mamish Meshugna story. A very interesting story, I thought. Say it real quickly, even though we're late. That there was a woman, a tzaddikas, her husband went on a trip somewhere, and a schnar came to the door, all ripped clothing. For some reason, she let him into the house. He was there for a few days, and he slept on the floor. He's mamish, a big tzaddik. He went to the mikveh every day, and he was sigufim and tanesim. He wouldn't need anything she gave him. And finally, after a few days, he told her that he's Eliyahu Navi, and that he is supposed to have a son that's going to be Mashiach. V'haraya, and he proved it to her that there's a treasure in the ground. Treasure, as soon as he leaves, she's not allowed to open it until she leaves. And she was with him. And they asked the Aruch HaShulchan if there's any way to be mater. Because what happened was she called up her husband. She goes, "Come home immediately because there's treasure in our house." So she mamish believed him 100%. So the question is if she was nival to a mitzvah. Because she thought she's with Eliyahu Navi. He's obviously a con artist. So it was a very shver shaila, but one of the rights they brought is, look, she mamish believed him. She thought there's a treasure. So the husband came and dug up the treasure. There's no treasure, and then she realized the whole thing was a scam. But fine. And this is the famous what the Gemara says. Get krisis kaisav lishnei. What happened over there is, and based on this, that David HaMelech instituted that anybody goes out to war, including Uriah, who's Bathsheba's husband, must write a get krisis, must write a get to his wife. D'chsiv, it says, V'sachecha Yishai tells David, they went out to war to fight against Goliath, a different war, before David became the king. And David was a young kid. So he tells David, go out and make sure that your brothers are okay. V'sachecha tivkod l'shalom v'sarubasim tikach. You should take the aruba. Says the Gemara, Mai v'sarubasim tikach. What does it mean? That Yishai said, make sure that they give a get to their wives, that they don't keep their wives agunois. They shouldn't keep their wives chayiv for yibum. So David HaMelech thought this idea is a brilliant idea. Every soldier that goes out to war, instead of what happens if you don't find the body? Aguna. What happens if you find the body? But he comes back, and now there's a problem with yibum, not yibum. Everybody writes a get. So First of all, before I forget, sponsored by Moshe Horn in honor of Rabbi Tzvi Medetsky, the only Rebbe that was actually good at basketball. Sponsored by Nasana, hatzlacha, Ruchni, and Gashmi, for Rana Kash, for me, introducing me to MDY. So I'll go upon him. Very interesting. So according to Rashi, the pshat is, there's a get, I give you a get today, mi'achshav, I make it night. If I don't come back from the war, the get should be chal today. So if the get is chal today, so David HaMelech was mizana. She was already divorced, because what turned out to be is the Uriah died. So retroactively, the get was chal the day he wrote and gave the get. And in Mela, everything's good. But it's not really good, or according to Taisus, the pshat is that they gave a real get. 100% get. So then what's the problem? Then why is everybody upset at David? And why did they have to do tshuva? Because they made a deal between themselves. I'm giving you a get 100%. You're divorced. But if you come back from the war, we're going to get married again, right? Yeah, 100%. Deal. So that is a little bit of a problem. Again, so you have to understand what's going on here. She wasn't Eishes Ish. Nobody says that she was Eishes Ish. In fact, she remained married to him. But what was the avla? That could be the avla. Interesting just to point out that the Balaturim on the pasuk that says V'arva lachem kol cholutz latzava, the Balaturim says that Moshe Rabbeinu instituted the same thing. That everybody gave a get. But the big question they have in the Balaturim is, if so, but the hemshech of the pasuk is that you get that if you go to war, if you're not married for a year, that somebody else shouldn't come and take her. But if you gave a get, what's the big deal? So somebody else took her. Okay, so they say maybe that in the time of Moshe Rabbeinu, it was instituted only for Yibam, only for people that didn't have children, and they were worried about Yibam, not about Agunois. And later on, David HaMelech also instituted it for Agunois. Fine. Zok the Gemara. We learned by us in the Mishnah that someone who's never married gets married only on a Wednesday. Because the Beis Din is in session on Thursday, we don't want him to cool down. If he thinks that she's usher to him, he must go to Beis Din immediately. Ulamai, what's going on here? What are we concerned about? If he doesn't want to give her ksuba, he feels that she doesn't deserve ksuba, and in the beginning he feels she doesn't deserve ksuba. And if there's no Beis Din, he's not going to go to Beis Din, he's going to cool down, and what's going to happen? He's going to give her ksuba. Okay, so he gave her ksuba. Why do we have to be concerned about that? Why are we so worried? Oh, Nebuch, he might give her ksuba when she doesn't deserve ksuba. No, so it's his fault that he cooled down. No, we're more concerned about Isurim, not about Mumminus. So what happened? He believes that she was Mizana. What did he say? My lad, the Katayin Tainas Pesach Pesuach. That our sugya. He said, I didn't find Psulim. Loi, the Katayin Tainas Damim. That's not what happened. He says I didn't find Dam, like we learned in the Mishnah. And so what's the difference, Rabbi Yosef, between Tainas Dam and Tainas Psulim? Isn't it the same thing? He's saying she's not a Psula. What's the difference? How? I didn't find Dam. Oh, I didn't find Psulim. It's the same thing. No, it's not the same thing. Why? Because any idiot could tell that there's no Dam. I didn't see Dam. You don't have to be a genius. You don't have to be a professional. But Besulim, like we said before, maybe he doesn't know what he's doing. Maybe he doesn't chap what Pesach Besulim means, what Pesach Soger means. He doesn't know. Taisus says this. This is a Yisod in Taisus. So Mela, we're concerned by Dam that he's going to be Miskar Daitoi or Fakert. Over there's not so much of a concern. It's a Metzias. He didn't find Dam, so he's not going to cool down. But by Pesach Besuach, he could fool himself. He could say, you know what? Maybe I don't know really what I'm talking about. After a day goes by, so he's not going to go to Beis Din now. That's the concern. Omer Rav Yehuda, Omer Shmuel. Homer Pesach Besuach Masasi, Nemo Lafsidik Subasa. Oh, now comes Shmuel and adds. Not only is Shavi Nashid Chadik D'Isura, that I'm telling myself I'm also on this person, but I'm also going to make her lose out on her ksuba. It's a big chiddush. How could my chumrah make you lose money? All right, Tanina, what do you mean? This is Pasha. If a person eats by his father-in-law, his father-in-law makes some sort of suda, the cover the chasana. And there's no witnesses. In Yehuda, like we explained, and like the Arshel brings beautifully from the Yerushalmi, in Mamish, the whole thing makes sense. My whole life I didn't understand what was going on. Bemis, it always bothered me. We're talking about the time of the Gemara, where people were so hefker in Yehuda, hefker, that there's no time of psulim, because they're so liber gaspa, the whole different Gemaras that talk about it, that they put them together in a room. But now we understand beautifully, because there's a terrible gzera of Tibal Lagmin Tchila. And it was only against Yehuda. Because Yehuda, and together with Chushim ben Dan, whatever the story was, Yehuda, the Goyim at least believed that Yehuda killed Esav. And therefore they punished Yehuda, and they said, Tibal Lagmin Tchila. So in order that there shouldn't be baratzin, so people learn not so good pshat in that Yerushalmi, but I think the pshat is, in order that she shouldn't have any rotzen at all, it should be against her will 100%, they put her together with the chazan to get to know the chazan more, and her dash should be with the chazan, not with the guy. Okay, so now we know that, it says that if they ate together by the father-in-law in Yehuda, and there's no Eidim, he cannot say that she wasn't a psula. Why? But that's only, says the Gemara, be Yehuda or the loy matzitayim. Habegalul matzitayim. A person has a good taina. And what's the taina? The Gemara is going to want to say, our taina of our sugya, pesach pesuach. I didn't find psulim. Ulamai, ili lost her love. It's time to say that she's mizana, Yehuda my loy. Why doesn't the chassan have the right in Yehuda to say that his wife is a zayna? He knows what happened. He knows that he wasn't with her. It's him against the world. He knows they never had any relations. And he knows that she's not a psula. Must be that she was mizana. You're asar on me. Why are you telling me she's not asar on him? He's not believed to damage her monetarily, to take away the ksuba. Says the Gemara, okay, and what is the taina? Our sugya. Lie. No raya from there. The katayin, tainas domim. He said he didn't find dam like the first Mishnah. Have a wonderful day. Rabbi Yosef, what's the Shabbos? I'm going to be in Yerushalayim. I'm coming back over here, but I need some help. I can't do shir regular time. A quarter to 11? Is that enough time for me to get back? 11. Let's just do 11 o'clock. Whoever can make it. I got to get back. No. 11 sharp. 11 sharp. Have a wonderful day, a wonderful Shabbos. All the guests.